All right, good morning. Welcome to day 2. We are on week 3. We are going to be reviewing our assignments today, just making sure you're on the right track. And then the goal is to give you as much time as possible in class today, since we're on block period today, to work on those assignments. All right. So if you haven't already, go ahead and get Canvas open. We're just going to jump right in and try to be productive. Hope everyone's having a really good day. It sure is nice out today, especially after the cloudy weekend. And so we're going to go to modules. Okay, so remember, you can always go to the week 3 lessons and recording. This is where you can find yesterday's recording. So from the first day of class, what we're covering each day. All right, so make sure that you are staying on top of that. Okay, especially if you need any important documents or anything like that. Okay. We are on week 3, okay, part 2 of digital citizenship. So we're going to review rewarding relationships, and then we're going to look at your privacy line, which this one's actually really interesting. It's about facial recognition software. So it's an interesting concept. So I'll be interested to kind of hear what you guys think, okay? All right, so let's review really quick the first assignment we went over yesterday. So again, if you want a more detailed version of this, then go back and watch the day 1 recording, okay? Because I did go over this slower yesterday. It's going to be pretty fast today, just to, and honestly, a lot of it's to make sure that those links are working, right, that we were having issues with yesterday. So we were talking yesterday about talking versus texting when we're communicating with people. Which way do we tend to lean, pros and cons of that, and maybe being more aware of that, especially for deep, meaningful relationships, how the face-to-face really is important. You know, time and place, when is it appropriate to text and when is it appropriate not to? Also talking about boundaries, right? Sometimes people, maybe you've had that experience where people are a little too eager, a little too in your space, and they just kind of inundate you. And texting is a way where you can kind of have a casual friend, like someone who maybe is not in your inner circle, but you know, you're friendly with, but maybe they get a little too much. Okay, we watched this video yesterday. So again, if you want more detail, you can go back to yesterday's video, or you're welcome to rewatch that. Go to the next page. Then we looked at the assignment. So we opened up the assignment tab. So let's do this. Can you refresh your assignment tab, reopen it, and then let's see if those tabs are working now for you. They work for me, but I also don't have all the blocks that you as students do. So there were the 2 we were having issues with. There was the Snapchat streak, so this article opening, and then this video, because remember, you were supposed to review both sources. Can anybody go in and give those links a try? Tell me what's happening on your end. Are they opening? Maybe someone who was having them blocked yesterday, maybe try refreshing that page and see if those links are working maybe now. Or go into your Google Drive, and you can open this up if you did start this yesterday. So go into your Google Drive, the Junior Studies class, and open it. And I know the article was blocked yesterday, and a few people said that the video was blocked. Is anyone able to test it out and tell me? Because I did message them, and they said that they added them to their safe sites or whatever, so they hopefully will open. Can anybody verify for me? It works? Okay, Alexandra, thank you. Yay! That's all right. It's all right, cheers. Awesome. Okay, do both work? Mara, when you say they work, did you try both? Do they both work? That's really good news, hopefully. Yay. Because you know, sometimes you do, yay, okay, thank you so much. I appreciate the verification. All right. So I'll just review this really quick. And then if you started this yesterday, then when we're done going over instructions, you can always go back and finish this one first. Obviously, having links that work is going to help. Okay. So in this one, you were supposed to read and watch. So you're going to do both sources, read the first source, watch the second one. Okay. You're going to put the source number. So you could just do like resource 1, resource 2. What does it say about quality relationships? So I would probably do kind of 3 points for each one, you know, to show that you're really looking at the whole source. And then do you agree with the key points? Why or why not? So yes, here's why I agree, or no, here's why I don't. A sentence or 2 works fine for those. Okay, so you do that for both sources. And then we read this this situation, okay, and using the feelings and option steps, how to respond to this, right? So the situation was Jason is a classmate of Tim's. Tim's having a really hard time, or they've been friendly. Jason's trying to be a good friend to him. Tim is sounds like a nice person, but Tim has been having a lot of issues at home. Parents are fighting. Life's kind of, in a real rough patch and really stressful. Jason's trying to be supportive, but Tim is getting, it's a lot, like a lot of text, inundated frequently. It's kind of dark content. And so it's just very heavy. And Jason is just kind of losing it and kind of needs to set some boundaries. So using the identify steps, identify who are the different people involved. So you got Jason, you have the parents, you have Tim, you have Jason's family. Think, their immediate circles. What dilemma or challenge are they facing? It's Tim, right, that's facing this with his family, but then Tim's stuff is pouring a little bit too much onto Jason. Okay, feelings. How do you think Jason is feeling? Think about when you've been inundated or overwhelmed by someone, and then think about how Tim's feeling. He probably he needs support. He needs verification of his feelings. He has no outlet. His parents are fighting and he feels like he has no outlet. So maybe Jason's his outlet. So kind of think about, maybe we've all probably known friends who have had parents in a difficult spot, or maybe you've experienced that with your parents, having some conflict in the home and stuff. I grew up in a broken home, and there was a lot of conflict, and it does cause a lot of stress, causes a lot of stress. Even a family that stays intact, sometimes there's going to be arguments. It's just a part of life, and it's hard and stuff, but sometimes more so if it's very frequent or volatile. So imagine, what are some of the options? What can Jason do to be there for Tim, but also maybe draw some boundaries? I mean, we would hope he wouldn't just say, you got to chill, dude, leave me alone. Like, that's probably really going to hurt Tim. But like, what are some things he could do to maybe create a little distance? And then how would you do this, right? Picking the right form of communication: in person, call, text. Maybe it's several. Maybe you do an in person, maybe you do a follow-up text of support. Like maybe in person, you say, you got to calm down. Like, don't put so much energy into it. Like, try to focus on other things. And then maybe decide that he's going to limit it to one text a day or something. I don't know. Like, what are those boundaries? Okay. Any questions on assignment number 1? It's okay, so we're just reviewing assignment number 1 from yesterday. So I'm just doing a quick review. So if you were with us yesterday, this is just a quick review. The links are working now. So I know that yesterday there were some issues with the links in there, but we got them working. Okay. We're going to do the discussion together. I decided to go ahead and shorten it. And we're just going to do feedback together in the chat. So, Akila, yeah. Okay. Yeah, don't worry. We'll get you your feedback. Okay. I'm going to move on to assignment number 2. All right. So for assignment number 2, all right, we're going to click on next. So this is where you'll submit it when you're done. There's the rubrics. We're going to go to next. Okay, so for the second assignment, we'll slow down. We'll take a little bit more time on this, okay, is facial recognition. Okay, so facial recognition technology is used to identify the image of a person. Many new devices, I don't know about you, like my computer, my cell phone, things, they have facial recognition. Below are listed some of the benefits and risks associated with facial recognition technology. And this is definitely becoming more and more common, right? How many of you have some piece of technology that uses facial software? Give me a thumbs up if you do. Maybe your cell phone, your computer. I don't know what else might do. Video games use facial recognition. Those are the common ones I know. But again, I'm not the most tech savvy. I mean, I use my computer a lot and my cell phone, but I'm not into other technologies that much. All right, yeah, so it's become common. Okay, so some positives. You can use it for like snapshot, Instagram filters. It's kind of a fun way to do things, or make a picture look a little different. It can unlock your phone, which is really nice. Yeah, definitely, it's nice instead of always having to do the code. It can be useful too to help protect people, to keep people from breaking in your phone. It's an extra layer of protection or added layer of protection. Some of the negatives, though, some of the risks of having this, it can be used against people when they disagree with the government. This is, I know some people are going to say, oh, this is, some big conspiracy theory. No, absolutely not. Maybe not within our country yet, but there are countries like China and communist countries. I know in in parts of Cuba and Laos and things like that. Facial recognition, they can cut people off from community sources or resources or things like that if they're not in good standing or something like that. So this can definitely be used against people or to limit people. It can be concerning how much control then that the government can use against people. All right. Companies can use this to target advertising. Yes. Have any of you ever been sitting around and you've been talking about something or something like that, and then all of a sudden next time you're on your phone, it like an ad for that thing pops up? Anybody? Right? That happens to me all the time. All the time, right? Your algorithm changes. Yes. Like the whole thing, oh, it's listening to me. No, but it really is. Like it really is. And it is. It's scary. I mean, it's not that you don't want to find those things, but it feels like a little bit of an invasion of privacy, and we should be concerned about that, right? It's like, I'm not on my phone right now, but let's say I talk about, let's test it, right? Soccer. My daughter starts soccer practice tonight, so I got to run to Target after school today and go get her some new. I thought her soccer shoes were going to work, and they're not, so we're gonna have to do that. Watch on my lunch when I go log in. Soccer stuff's going to pop up. All right. It will. And that's concerning to me that they can access it that much, right? It's concerning. A company or government could use it to follow where you go. How many of you, the GPS, anytime you download an app or something like that, right? They want your location. And obviously if you ever went missing or something like that, that's a great thing. But also, why do you need to know my location all the time? That's an invasion of privacy. If I'm using the app, maybe depending on what it is, but even then, some of the apps, I'm like, you don't need to know my location unless you're shipping to me or I'm having something picked up, right? It's concerning. So it's not all good. This is a good lesson to learn in life. Almost every type of progress has pros and cons. Every type of progress does. Anytime you change something, there's going to be good things about it, and then there's going to be concerns. And if you're ever like, this is all positive, no negatives, you have some confirmation bias. All right. You know what I mean? You got to be willing to look at what are the concerns. Just because it isn't happening doesn't mean it shouldn't be a concern. So just because, let's say, the government isn't controlling us, it is happening in other countries. And it is a concern that the government could. Now, should they know, but again, it's still, you don't want to be so ignorant to possibilities, right? That you're not protecting yourself and being real of what happens with those powers, right? And again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not trying to make everybody afraid, but it's something that needs to be talked about. Okay, balancing the benefits and potential risks of new technology like facial recognition can take time and effort. Whether technology, is beneficial or risky depends on the context, right? Who is using it, how it's being used, why it's being used. So we just talked about some of that, right? Context is important. If I'm just getting to my phone or security on my computer, it's great. But what if it was used to categorize people, to restrict people, to limit people, and a government invading my privacy by listening to what I'm doing? And it's a very slippery slope. So steps, take a stand on your own. What do you think? Okay. Stand back, gathering other perspectives. And we'll do that today for a minute in the chat. So you can use this on your, instead of doing a whole discussion post and stuff, we're just going to do it in the chat and you can pull from that. Okay. Look again. So on your own, did your original opinion change? Did someone else bring up maybe something that was a good point? And then look beyond, and stuff. How does dilemma remind you of maybe other situations or things like that? Okay. So we're going to watch this video. Okay. And then what we're going to do in the chat is we're going to put, and you can start brainstorming this, what's a positive that you think of facial recognition, and what's a potential negative. So it could be a realized negative or something that maybe hasn't happened, but that could happen, right? A concern, a possibility. Because sometimes concerns aren't actually realized. They're just, ooh, it has this potential. This could be an abuse of power at that. So I want you to think of one pro and one con while we watch this video. One pro and one con. Here we go.
Let me get a...
Order confirmed. Citizen, number 5, extra pickles, medium fries. Thank you for your order.
But I never told you what I wanted to order.
Order confirmed. Thank you, citizen. Next in line, please.
Is it just me? Or does facial recognition seem to be creeping more and more into our daily lives? I mean, my face is pretty much being scanned on the regular. Sometimes it's my choice. Like when I use a Snapchat filter, they rely on facial recognition technology. And I don't seem to mind because, well, they're awesome. Facebook's auto tagging makes uploading my photos super easy. And instead of remembering a passcode, the new iPhone 10 uses your face to unlock it. Oh, and by the way, there actually is a KFC restaurant in China that scans your face and orders your food for you. So look out for that, I guess, to become a thing. But for the most part, the media focuses on the darker aspects of the technology.
Nearly half of American adults are in facial recognition databases.
The technology can single us out in real time as we go about our daily business.
It's mass surveillance for the physical world.
So that got me thinking, should we smile and welcome facial recognition? Or should we be worried that it's going to be a major invasion of our privacy? Here's how facial recognition works. Computers map your face by analyzing dozens of different facial landmarks, like the depth of your eye sockets, the curve of your chin, and the size of your nose. Computers use artificial intelligence to analyze all this data. Basically, you have to train the computers on thousands of photos before they can accurately start identifying people by creating face prints, which are kind of like fingerprints in that they're unique to each person. Now, there's a growing concern that facial recognition will be used by governments and law enforcement to monitor and track people. Now, if we're talking about catching terrorists or identifying criminals, the technology might be a great tool to help keep us safe. But this same technology can also be used on us law-abiding citizens. In the US, there are an estimated 60 million surveillance cameras, meaning there's a pretty good chance that our faces are being recorded every day. So theoretically, if the FBI, CIA, or NSA had access to that footage, they can track the movements of any person 24/7. They'd know where you work, where you shop, who you like to hang with. Like, I don't want the government to know that I like to get my acupuncture done at 7:30 in the morning on a Tuesday. Now, this may sound futuristic and sci-fi, but the governments are using facial recognition right now. In some US airports, border agents are scanning the faces of foreign visitors and matching those scans to their visa applications. It could be a more secure way to track when people enter and leave the country. The government is also partnering with some airlines to use facial recognition instead of boarding passes. For US citizens, the facial scans are checked against photos stored in police databases. Now, you may be thinking, I've never committed a crime. My face isn't going to be in a police database. Well, police and the FBI have scanned millions of faces using driver's licenses and passport photos. A recent report out of Georgetown University reveals that if you're an adult in the US, there's a 50-50 chance that your photo is stored in a massive face recognition database that law enforcement can access anytime it wants for pretty much any reason. You know the classic police lineup you see in the movies? The detective invites the witness down to the station to pick out the criminal who's standing in the line with a bunch of other people. These photo databases are basically digital police lineups, allowing law enforcement to compare one face to millions of others. Check out what's happening in Moscow, Russia's capital. The government is adding facial recognition technology to its network of 170,000 surveillance cameras located throughout the city. It's supposed to be used to identify criminals and boost security, but what if you're at a rally protesting the government? The police could use facial recognition to pick you out of a crowd and maybe even punish you for your actions. And covering your face might not protect you. A new research paper demonstrated that facial recognition could correctly identify a concealed face 67% of the time. Yikes. In China, the government takes facial recognition to the next level. To curb jaywalking, which apparently is a big problem in the country, the Chinese government has resorted to public shaming. Jaywalkers get their photos snapped by government-owned cameras, and then 20 minutes later, their picture is up on a giant screen with their ID number and home address. Again, yikes. Now, facial recognition is not just about safety and tracking down criminals. It's also about making money. When you and your friends are auto-tagged when you upload a photo to Google or Facebook, that's one more data point that companies can use to track what you do online, what you like, and what you buy. But that's the cost of free technology. It's right there in the terms of service that none of us ever read. We use a super useful tool at no cost. The tech companies mine every photo, status update, and tweet for info that online advertisers are willing to pay big money for. Facebook and Google alone are predicted to make $106 billion from advertising this year. That's nearly half of all the money made from digital advertising in the world. Big box retailers are getting into the game too. Walmart has filed a patent for facial recognition technology that can identify when shoppers are unhappy or frustrated, which the company says will allow it to provide better customer service. But that same data can also be used to track purchases and predict what items you might buy in the future. So now we'd like to hear from you. Where would you draw the line? In what situation would you be comfortable allowing facial recognition? Whenever? Law enforcement only? Just private companies? Or pretty much never? Let us know in the comments below, and do not forget to subscribe. And if
All right. they make some really good points, right? Really, really good points. So I want you to think for a second, and then we're going to fill up the chat because you're going to need these comments when we go into the worksheet, okay? And you can say thank you to me because I saved you a whole nother assignment, okay? By just doing this. This will go quick versus having to do a whole assignment. You were supposed to respond and reply to 2 people. So this makes it a little bit quicker, okay? I do need everyone to participate because you're going to need info to pull from for the assignment we're going to open here in a second. So real quick, and it could be short and sweet. What's a pro? What's a good thing you think about this facial recognition that's coming out? But what's a con? What's a concern? And I think that they made some really good points. In the United States, we might not be seeing a lot of cons, or maybe you see some and stuff, but absolutely it's being used in other countries by governments, even our own government. I mean, like I said, our government is tracking us and things like that, but in other countries, so much so, like in China, if you literally, so China has more facial recognition cameras on their streets than anywhere else in the world. Like literally, I mean, they bypass every other country. It's insane. And they have this social currency system that encourages, if they see you obeying the laws, then your social currency goes up. You get a higher score. This impacts your ability to travel, to get a job, to get a house, to go outside of the country. Now, if you're found breaking laws, even small things like jaywalking, to bigger laws or protesting, then they take social points away. And a lot of this is done through facial recognition cameras, right? And you can be publicly shamed. It can make it harder for you to get somewhere to live, harder for you to get a job. You could be denied credit. You could be restricted from traveling based on this. So it can and is being used in other countries for much high levels of control. All right, so let's do it. Post. What's a pro? What's a con? What's something that you think is really good about this? What is something? So why don't you in your just put pro? You know, so kind of do try to do it in one post. Yeah, like pro. You know, and put what it is, and then put con and put what it is, so that people can kind of quickly scan through and find, and try to do it in like one post. Okay. It'll help. So let's see. I'm going to, keep posting. Let's read some of these. So a pro is more difficult for people to get your information on a device. Okay. A con is that police, airlines are using them to make it harder to travel. Yeah. So potentially we could see abuse of power by police, right? Overstepping our rights. It's a really fine line of like, we want them to monitor the country and keep us safe. So the ability to identify someone if they are a threat is good, but that could be an abuse of power, right? Overstepping. Airlines, right? The scanning that they go through and stuff like that, definitely. So pro, track down criminals. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, 9/11 happened before you were born. I was a senior in high school when 9/11 happened, but airports completely changed after that, as a result of that. But also invasion of privacy went up a lot more after 9/11, justifying, right, the invasion to track and to keep us safe. And sometimes it's a really fine line. How much privacy do we give up to keep us safe, and what is not worth it, where they're going too far? And we definitely flirt with the line, if not step over the line sometimes. Facial recognition to passcodes, yeah, is nice. So passcodes aren't as for sure. Pro facial recognition can help you identify criminals. Yeah, it can definitely be an invasion of privacy. Like we said, tracking what we're doing, knowing my location when I'm just an ordinary citizen doing stuff. They shouldn't need to know if I'm getting acupuncture, like he said, or whatever you're doing, and stuff. So pro, yeah, it unlocks things faster, easier again to find criminals. So it has definitely helped recognize someone if they're tracking someone that has concerning behavior. Because oftentimes they can't just jump and arrest somebody, especially if they're doing intelligence work or something. They have to kind of track that person's behavior. There's a suspicion or an alert, but they have to be able to track. So it does help. Can grab your face and modify pictures. Yes, the ability to get our information can. So track. So a lot of us are seeing it like in the criminal aspect, police force aspect. There's definitely pros in our safety. But then the ability, the government, yes, this concerns me. The governments, again, like what's happening in China, where they could literally then use it. What if I protest? For example, I'm going to be going down on Saturday and protesting about all the school district stuff that's going on. I'm going down with the union to do that. That is my right to do that. But what if they use facial recognition stuff and they use it against me? Now, I'm not afraid that they will, but I'm just saying that kind of stuff does happen in other countries like China. If you protest and they scan and they see that impacts your life. You're not supposed to speak out against the government. So it can be used against you by the government. So it is a real concern. Facial recognition, yeah, criminals, a negative, invading privacy, tracking us daily. Yeah, so again, it's a really fine line. And just because we aren't experiencing something, sometimes we can see it in other countries. So keep some of these things in mind, or you can always go back through. I also think it's a little bit of a negative, like let's say in a Walmart or something like that. I like the idea of maybe, I know shoplifting's become a huge issue. People going and shoplifting or grab and go and stuff like that. That's happening in stores. We see it on the news and stuff. So maybe easier to like track people and to have them criminally held responsible. But also at the same time, you know, I don't know if I really want them, you know, tracking what I'm buying, you know, trying to predict what I'm going to. I don't think I want something ordering for me. Like that's a little concerning. Again, kind of assuming about me or getting a little too invasive. All right, let's go to the assignment. So we're going to go on the next page, and we're going to use some of these pros and cons that we all shared. So pick something that you didn't do because you're going to need to use somebody else's input. All right, we're going to go to lunch line dilemma handout. So I want you to open that up, make a copy. Okay, so remember the 3 steps that we do, okay? You can rename it if you want. I like to get rid of the copy of, all right? You can save this onto your drive. So save it to your junior studies folder. If you haven't already created one, make sure that you have one. Why this is so big? I need to like zoom out. Oh, here we go. I was like, why is this like oversized? I feel like it's like in my face. All right. And then, so make sure you save it on your drive. Okay. And then you're going to make it shareable. So remember that's clicking down anyone with the link. And we do this on every single document. All right. So save it to your junior studies folder and then make it shareable so that when you submit it, I'm able to open it. All right. Give me a thumbs up. Oh, it says you need access. Okay. Let me try it again. It says you need access. Okay. Let me go in and try this link here. Okay, give me 1 second here. That's a problem. Oops. Okay. All right, let me get into the right class here. I'm gonna have to change the link really fast. Okay, sorry, give me 30 seconds here. All right, let me try relinking this. Sorry about that. Okay, can you try, no, you're gonna have to refresh your page. So refresh your page, refresh this page, and then try doing the link again because you have to refresh it to get the updated settings on it. So try refreshing the page and then opening it again, and then hopefully it'll open. Let me know. Remember, you can refresh up in the left-hand corner of your browser. There'll be kind of, it's like a circle arrow button that'll refresh the page. It still says access denied. Okay, let's see here. Share. Okay, try again. Not sure what I'm doing wrong here because I thought I changed the settings on it. All right. Try again. Okay, working? Here, I'll throw it in the chat too. Okay, let me know if there's a problem. Is it working? Try refreshing. Also try the link. Okay, it's working. All right, awesome. No, it's my bad. Sorry, it's my bad. It's my bad. So, all right. Okay, so once we have it open, all right, once you have it open, all right, save it to your drive, make it shareable. Anyone with the link? Okay. So here's the dilemma. Okay, ready? Here we go. Dr. Davis is a principal at Fairview High School, one of the biggest schools in the state. At the beginning of the year, Dr. Davis sent a survey to learn about the things students wanted to improve about school. Most students said that they wanted to make the lunch lines more efficient so everyone could eat and there wasn't such a rush to get to next class. And if you've gone to brick and mortar, probably experienced, my girls complain about this at their school. It takes too long to like get in and, they need more time to actually eat. While looking for solutions to the issue of the lunch line, Dr. Davis received a pitch from a facial recognition company. The company said it could create a system that allows students to pay for their lunch using their face. That way students would not have to wait in a long line to get their lunch and then pay for it. Do you think Dr. Davis should get facial recognition technology to improve lunch lines? So on your own, this is, what do you think? Explain your perspective, okay? And I would say probably like 2 or 3 sentences, okay? 2 or 3 sentences. Then we're gonna do the stand back phase, okay? So what do your classmates think? Do they think or feel comfortable and maybe have some of the same concerns? So think about what we put in the chat. Again, what might be some pros or cons or maybe concerns about doing this, and stuff. So look back at, and pick at least one other student's response of maybe their concern and how it could be applied to this dilemma. So this is where you're going to want to pull from the chat, okay? On your own, look again at your original response. What had you not considered that other people brought up? Maybe you changed your mind, maybe you didn't. Either way, overall, what are you leaning toward? Do you think, do the pros outweigh the cons? And therefore, should they go ahead and do it or should they not? Okay, balancing your opinion and taking someone else's opinion into account. Look beyond this specific case. How does this dilemma remind you of other situations we've explored in class and that we've seen, heard about, or experienced? So maybe take some of the things that we discussed during the video, in the chat, and how, again, it's a slippery slope. So if we do it for that, I remember we used to talk as teachers, we should have it for attendance because attendance is always such an issue, right? And trying to make sure we're taking it, it's accurate. And if there was just some way for students to scan a card or get their face every time they came in and out of class. So that could be one, if they did it for lunch, the next step would probably be like attendance or something like that, right? Going in and out of class and taking that accountability maybe. All right. So as much of a school lunch, probably whatever's on the account, right? Okay, so first one, what's your opinion? Explain your perspective, maybe put some pros and cons you immediately think of. Second one, kind of considering what people put in the chat, what might be some other concerns or things to consider when making this decision. That, again, just because it hasn't happened, what could potentially happen? What would be the concern? Maybe think about it as a parent, like what that might be like too, your child face being scanned or something. And then ultimately, what is your decision? Are there enough pros? You think, yes, this would give kids more time to eat. This is worth it. They already have my pictures in the school system. Go ahead. Or no, this is just too much. It's a violation. It's too on the moment. And this company could potentially use it for something else. Okay. And then look beyond. How could this dilemma or situation be experienced in other places? And definitely think about going in the classroom. Think about even going into stores. That I could see that happen in the future. Facial recognition to get into a store. That way, if people shoplift or cause a ruckus, right, they have a count of who that is. There's a lot of ways this could be used. Okay, so we have about 40 minutes left. We're in here till 10:20. So you're going to work on your first worksheet, right? Number 1, okay, which is doing those 2 resources, okay, filling out the chart. And then how would you respond to this friend dilemma, right, with Tim? And would you, between Jason and Tim, and would you use text, face-to-face, on the phone, combination thereof to resolve this, okay? And then you're going to do the second worksheet, okay, which is, again, in the lunch line, okay? Would it make it faster? What's your immediate reaction? What might be some other classmates' concerns? You can pull those from the chat. And then what's your final response to this? Which way would you go? And then how else could this play out? Think if this was the beginning of it within schools, what would be the next steps? You could even bring in, remember, Honor Lock, right? Honor Lock, they scan, right? You have to show ID. I mean, they're using, you know, and stuff. It's already it's already happening. Even in the online, it's happening more maybe than in brick and mortar, but it is happening. So absolutely. Okay. So any questions? Otherwise, you have 40 minutes. Get this done. If you finish these early, you can work on other work. Okay. And I'm here if you have any questions, or if you stumble into anything along the way. All right. So we're staying in here because of attendance and stuff like that. So we're working. If you have questions, yes, I can answer them or help you out. Otherwise, the goal is to get this done, get this in before the end of the period, right? Before 10:20, so that you don't have to worry about it on Friday, because these are both due on Friday. Okay. Zoe, what's your question? You can unmute or put it in the chat. Either is fine. You mean to the worksheet? So you got to refresh your page and then it should open. So just refresh the Canvas page. Is that what you're talking about? Okay, yeah, so just refresh it and then you should be able to open the link. Everyone was able to open the link once they refreshed it. Yeah, just refresh the page and then try clicking on it again. And let me know if it doesn't work. Yeah, so we shared it earlier. So like I said, I removed there was a whole discussion assignment where you had to do a paragraph response and respond to 2 people. So I took that out just to save us some time. And everybody, if you scroll back up, everybody did a pro and con of facial recognition. So you can just pull that for this section of the second worksheet. All right. So you can still look at other students for the look beyond. For this part right here. Where do your classmates stands? How do they feel about facial recognition? And you can pull from one of the other students. Okay. So we're working on the rewarding relationships and lunch line dilemma. I'm going to stop the recording since we're just going to do independent work time in class, getting these done. And again, we'll stay here till a couple minutes before the end of class, and you can always ask questions. Okay.